I feel it in my plums.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Get Geek podcast, where we celebrate geek, nerd, and pop culture. Each week, we deliver the best analysis for fans, by fans, on anything related to movies, TV, video games, comics, anime, and manga. We talk geek. And now, here's the Get Geek podcast.
Hello, Internet. What's going on, y'all out there? Welcome to another episode of the Get Geek podcast. We're very excited about our topic this week, and we know that many of our fans out there are certainly also very excited about our topic this week. But first, let's do our quick introductions for the whole crew. You guys know me. I'm Jose.
This is Wolfie.
AJ.
What happened?
Have you guys merged into one
They
sentient
fused.
being?
Where did that come from?
Fused.
Fusion
I lie.
dance.
I lie. Yeah. Fusion.
And ha.
We are neither Eli nor AJ. We are Elijah.
Elijah. Yes. That's the
there you
one.
go.
Elijah.
That's perfect. Elijah is joining us this week. The perfect fusion of AJ and Eli. Yes.
And
But,
you monkeys, I'm Golden Walt. That was a very bad impression of Frieza, by the way.
Oh boy, that's okay. It's hard to do Frieza. I mean, it is a
very
woman
bad.
that does the American voice acting. Linda
Yeah.
Young is the voice actor for Frieza. But anyways, we're
I
not
can't go
talking
that
Dragon
high.
Ball this week. We're talking about some other stuff this week. Before we get to that, though, I just want to mention we are recording remotely. So if there are any sound issues or artifacts that y'all are experiencing out there, please let us know. Any feedback is appreciated. We're doing our best to make sure that the sound gets better every week. So bear with us. And again, thank you for our fans out there that are listening week in and week out, whether our sound is terrible or not. And we think it's pretty good. But beyond that, for our fans as well, and for those of you that are maybe our fledgling fans or that want to be our fans, the best way to support your podcast, your favorite podcast crew, is to like, rate, share, and subscribe the podcast. We're available on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, all of your favorite podcast platforms, wherever podcasts are sold. Right. So this week, what's our topic, guys? I think it's a pretty big one for the nerds out there. We are talking about a little show on Disney Plus called The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian. It's a little show. It's not really that big. I think it's kind of more indie. Nobody's really into it. We're kind of like the first people to see the show and bring it to the consciousness because we know that nobody really likes Star Wars. Anyways, guys, why don't we talk about first how we saw it, right? We tried to do a group watch on Disney Plus. Does anybody want to talk about our experience doing that? Do we have
That's
a
a
good
very
experience?
apt. Oh, sorry.
No. What's that?
I
Go
was
ahead,
going to say
AJ.
that's a very apt initial description. Tried to do the Disney group
Didn't
watch.
quite work.
Tried.
I gotta say that it should be a whole lot easier to do a group watch.
Yes, profile.
Disney Plus profile.
Look, don't
Yes,
talk crap about my
profile.
profile, okay?
His profile on Disney Plus is literally profile.
Wait, is
We
that
wrote-
because
Is
you're
it?
private? Yeah, it says profile when we
Really?
saw you in the
Oh,
group
that's
watch.
what you meant. I thought you were talking about like the whole Mickey Mouse picture.
No, that's fine,
No.
dude. Mickey Mouse is dope. It's
Yeah,
I
just
didn't
that
realize that my profile is just profile.
yeah, you are the one that shall not be named in group watch.
Yeah,
in a
like
way.
literally, Jose, you on the WhatsApp and was like, "Who the heck is profile?"
Yeah,
You
I
know, that's
figured it
really
was
interesting
you.
because like on my end it says Gabriel, hi Gabe, or hi Gabriel, when I log in and stuff.
Maybe it's a privacy setting thing.
Yeah.
Maybe
Could
that's the
be.
reason why group watch didn't work.
Maybe there's something to it. But like, yeah,
Could
we
be.
kept getting out of sync, right? Because a couple of people in our crew, we actually had the podcast crew. We had a couple of other people watching with us as well, some friends and family. And we couldn't get quite in sync right away, right, guys? Like it was a
But
bit
I
tough
think
to get it
I,
all together.
I think the other person, our family member, the other person that was on there,
Mhm.
he couldn't get on, but somehow he found a way to keep rewinding it back to the beginning. You know?
Yeah,
Like he
which is
literally
weird.
said he couldn't get on, he couldn't see anything, but yet there was a part where like for a good minute and a half he kept rewinding it back to the beginning. We're like, what the
Yeah.
heck is going on here?
He became
know?
the
I feel like
host.
every time it was connecting and then disconnecting, maybe
We just restart
it
it.
would restart it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
maybe.
The experience wasn't terrible though. I do like the fact that anybody can pause it instead of having to like type to somebody or like whatever, which you can't
That's
do in
That's
group
true.
watch, by the way. You
Mhm.
can't type anything. It's all emoji based reactions
Yeah, that's
with
bad.
your friends,
That's bad.
which is yeah, that's not my favorite feature. It would be nice if you had some sort of chat feature to talk about it a little bit, but we just used our WhatsApp group where we created one to have a group conversation about the episode. So I mean the
See, but
experience was
here's my thing with
okay,
that,
right?
right? So like that's
Yeah.
that's how the group watch in olden times has always been done. Everybody gets in a group chat and we
Yeah.
all hit play at the same time,
Yeah.
and then we can do our emojis and chat through WhatsApp and or Messenger or whatever it is.
Right.
So like this, I almost feel like the group watch was more of a hindrance.
Yeah, you
You know
were
what I mean?
actually a
Yeah, a
couple of
little
minutes
bit.
ahead of us too, right? Because you were
Well,
like,
I
"Oh
was,
man, the ending of the
so
episode."
I was only because I was watching it already,
Mhm.
and um you know, you guys it restarted because you guys had that restarting issue and stuff like that, and I was, you know, wasn't by myself watching it also, and you know, I it just, I don't want to say it was uncomfortable, but we were already watching it. We already knew that I wasn't gonna be part of the group, the group watch anyway.
Mhm.
So I figured, let me just keep watching it, and I'll just make sure that I won't spoil anybody, Jose.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Okay.
So you probably finished like 30 minutes before we did.
no,
No, only a couple.
I finished
I
like
know.
5 minutes. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
kidding,
it was not far.
it was just one of these things where it felt like we were spending 30 minutes just to get the damn thing working. You know?
Yeah, and we were already 30 minutes late because of someone not showing up on time. Sorry,
what was I going to say? I mean, yeah, and also it must have felt like a good 30 minutes after that final moment of the episode for you, Wolfie, like just
Oh
the
yeah,
joy
oh
and
yeah. I was just
and
like,
magic.
oh man, but we're not gonna spoil that yet, guys.
Not at all.
We're gonna savor that moment.
We are definitely not
Are
gonna
we
spoil
really?
that.
Yes, we are.
Are we really?
We
I'm
are
not so
savoring
sure
that
about
moment. Look,
that.
this
We
is
don't
my
wanna
time. This
we
is
don't
my
wanna
time.
spoil
You
it.
had listen.
First.
You had your time. You had your time with
I still have my
Clone
time.
Wars. You had
Who?
your time with Clone Wars.
No, he's still
and
around,
Rebels.
dude.
Yeah, that's
He's
fine, but like that show's over now. Okay,
And
this
it's
is my
coming
time.
back.
It's
It's
coming
my
back.
time. It's my time.
is done.
Is
All
it
right.
really though?
And we'll get there.
We will
Anyway,
get there. Should we do a synopsis? Let's do a quick synopsis of the episode, and then we'll jump in and talk about some of our favorite aspects of cinematography, of acting, of details of the episode, and kind of open it up for a conversation. Shall we do it? Shall we?
Yeah.
All right. So let's do it. Let me do a quick synopsis of the episode for our fans out there. And of course, we are getting definitively into spoiler territory here. So if you haven't seen the episode, go watch the episode once, twice, 3 times, and then come back and listen to our analysis of the episode, because it's pretty much the best damn analysis you're going to listen to pretty much anywhere. Okay. So let's get into it. So we open the episode with our hero Mando and Baby Yoda seeking out a alien named Gor Koresh, who seems to be some sort of mafioso or like gang leader. He is voiced by John Leguizamo, which of course this show is becoming famous for having various actors in cameos or various comedians doing cameos, which is pretty great. And John Leguizamo plays a great role here, right? So Mando comes across him. He's looking for information on other Mandalorians. And he hears that Gor Koresh actually knows where there's another Mandalorian, so he can begin to kind of gather some more information on his people. and maybe get an assist possibly with Baby Yoda. It seems there's a lot of reasons that he wants to find out where some other Mandalorians are. But so we have this conflict in the beginning, and we do get to see a pretty nice moment with some Gamorrean guards fighting in the ring. They meet in this sort of arena, and there's that fight going on. He has a conversation with Gor Koresh about trying to get some more information on where Mandalorians are. Gor Koresh, basically, like most guys, ends up being the bad guy. And I kind of like this scene. It opens very similar to the scene that opens season 1. The combat in that scene. There's a nice moment where he kind of uses the grapple hook or the line to tie Gor Koresh's legs up after the conflict goes bad and hang him up and basically do the same thing that he did, but in a different way, like take out Gor Koresh in the same way that he took out that guy with the grappling hook in the door, chopping him in half in season 1. So nice little moment. Gor Koresh tells him that there is a Mandalorian on Tatooine, right? So, of course, Mando, who's been there, doesn't quite believe that, but he dispatches Gor Koresh in an interesting way, and we'll get to that later when we get a little more detail. We can talk about that. And then he goes to Tatooine, and we see the return of Peli, Amy Sedaris' character, who basically seems like now she's going to be Mando's de facto mechanic for his ship, and maybe somebody to help him out with Baby Yoda from time to time, although there is some doubt there, which we will, of course, get into in more detail again later. But so we get this moment where we get a call back to some video games and some locations on Tatooine that are only featured in video games until now. Mos Spiegel is the place where they say that or Mos Spiegel. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. You guys help me out if I'm getting that wrong. And that's where he's told the Mandalorian that is on Tatooine is most likely going to be. So he goes to that town, and we get a nice little kind of Western walk through. All the people are coming out of their homes and kind of observing Mando as he comes into the town. Again, this very, very heavy Western theme that the show is leaning on. We get a nice little Easter egg moment. We get Sam Witwer, who is actually one of the people that comes out of his home in that scene. For those who don't know, Sam Witwer is huge in the Star Wars universe. He was in the Force Unleashed video games. He did voicing for Darth Maul, correct, right? And for Palpatine as well in some of the cartoons. So he's a big Star Wars guy. And we definitely love Sam Witwer. It was nice to see him in the episode, get a little acknowledgement of his, how important he is to the Star Wars universe, right? Mm-hmm. So he goes to this town, Mando does, and we run into somebody wearing Boba Fett's armor. Doesn't quite fit right, though. And yeah, it fits a little wrong, which I think is kind of the point. But of course, again, we can kind of open that up to some discussion, and we learn, I should say, that this is actually not Boba Fett in the Mandalorian armor and Boba Fett's Durasteel armor, not Beskar. Which I wonder if that's going to end up being a little bit of a plot hole at some point when we find out some fates for certain characters later. But I digress. We run into Timothy Oliphant, and he tells a story about how he acquired Boba Fett's armor. Essentially, that town it's very much like Justified, which I love. Timothy Oliphant kind of plays with that. And he kind of plays with that theme in this episode, and Jon Favreau kind of plays with that. He gets to be like the marshal of this town named Cobb Vanth, which I'm not familiar with. You guys can tell me a little bit more about him later because you're more the well-versed people for the Star Wars cartoon universe. But he plays a marshal named Cobb Vanth, who basically, long story short, some thugs try to take over Mos Pelgos, or Mos Pelgos. That's what it is. Excuse me, I'm totally getting it wrong. Mos Pelgos is the name of this town on Tatooine. He is kicked out of the town basically by this gang that kills everyone and enslaves everyone in the town, and he runs into some Jawas and basically ends up buying Boba Fett's armor from them after they save him from a certain death out in the middle of the desert. And he uses Boba Fett's armor to return to Mos Pelgos and save the town, basically. Becomes sort of the town's marshal or sheriff or whatever else after that. And that's where we find him when we get to the present right here in The Mandalorian. So Mando, of course, is very upset that somebody else has Mandalorian armor, and he tries to basically duel Cobb Vanth, like a gunfighter duel. Again, leaning heavily on those Western themes. He duels him to get Boba Fett's armor back, but they're interrupted by another character from Star Wars canon, or another monster from Star Wars canon that really gets fleshed out here, and that was also in Knights of the Old Republic, by the way, in a mission on Mos Pelgos, where Mos Pelgos was first mentioned in Star Wars canon. We get a crate dragon. Okay, and there's a lot of cool details that I want to talk about regarding the crate dragon later, including the sound that he makes and a lot of other things. But this interrupts their duel, and they decide, basically, instead of dueling each other, that that Cobb Vanth will give Mando the Boba Fett armor if he helps him to kill the crate dragon. All right. So they go and try to kind of scout out what they can do to kill the monster, and they happen upon some sand people, which is pretty awesome. Again, there's some great details we can talk about with them later and some nice Easter eggs. They run into the sand people, and we have a nice moment where Mando communicates with them in their language, and we learn that he's actually kind of an ally to them, which, if you remember last season, they sort of became allies in one of the episode. And what it essentially ends up happening is, again, they kind of throw together a great spaghetti Western storyline where the people of the town of Mos Pelgos and the Sand People, who have always been enemies, decide to band together in order to kill the crate dragon. So it's a little bit of a throwback and a callback to some episodes from last season as well, I think, where they kind of gathered up the town in order to face a singular threat. And I think it works well again here, but again, we'll open that up to opinions later on. So again, they just decide to come together and kill this crate dragon. And basically what happens is, of course, they all band together. They find a way to take out the crate dragon by the end of the episode. All together, they figure out a plan and they take out this gigantic monster. It's a great scene, in my opinion. And we get some great moments with the Tusken Raiders, the Sand People, and all kinds of other characters in the end here. And after the crate dragon gets taken out, we get a very, very big moment and a very, very big reveal. There's a figure staring at the twin sons of Tatooine.
And you're going to leave it there.
Yeah, I will leave it there. I was going to say either Wolfie, you tell us who it is, or we can save it for later.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. We're going to save that for later. It's a big reveal. It's a moment that we want to savor. But let's talk a little bit about the actual episode.
Yes.
What did you guys think in general of the episode?
I thought that it was great. I always love myself a kaiju-sized monster to fight. And of course, there were some pretty funny moments, like, I don't know, Return of the Jedi moment. Yeah, it was pretty nice.
Yeah, I enjoyed the episode a lot. I'm gonna put this out there. I think that there is a sense that it was kind of a filler episode again, but we're going to talk about that later. I really disagree. I think that this is something that's going to advance the plot in a huge way, and we've seen so far that characters that kind of get introduced, even in small moments, kind of return later, and I think we're going to see that with Cobb Vanth as well, and a few other characters perhaps, and definitely with the character by the end of the episode that we see in that moment. But I really, really enjoyed it. And I thought it was a great episode. I think it's a great start, and I think it was nice that they kind of jumped into it pretty quickly, into some big plot details and some big moments, and expanded upon it beyond just what the storyline was last season.
See, I kind of disagree there, because I felt like they jumped too quick into some like heavy plot points, right? So like in this one episode, some of the stuff that we were already looking forward to, they kind of just like popped the balloon right there. We got Cobb Vanth, we got the surprise at the end, and not only that, but we also have like essentially Cobb Vanth's whole persona. His character was already ended. Like, we introduced him, we developed him, and then we ended his storyline for the most part. He is most likely still going to show up. We discussed this already, that he's most likely going to show up again, but not as the Boba Fett armor wearing Marshal. That there's still some sort of conflict in the sense with Mando and him, right? The conflict being Mando wants his armor back, and Cobb Vanth needs to get it to him. That could have been a little bit more, I guess, expanded, or
Hmm.
just drawn out a little bit. And I think that, like, as much as I enjoyed the episode, I didn't 100% love it, because I felt like the
Hmm.
joy that I had from the very first episode of the first season. I mean, when that episode came out, I saw it again right after.
Hmm.
I was like, wait, I need to see this again, because it was just like it left me wanting so much more. And while this one still leaves me wanting, I'm still super looking forward to the next, episode. I almost like, I don't feel like I have to like, I mean, I do have to rewatch it, but I just didn't have that same excitement for this first episode as I did for the first episode of season
Hmm.
one.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Eli,
I
what about you?
Yeah, I like this episode a lot, but it didn't really catch my all of my attention.
Hmm.
Like Wolfie said, it wasn't the same as the first episode where I wanted to watch, where I wanted it to come out like literally the next day.
Okay.
Um
Hmm.
We
it
had
could
no
have been
pop,
What do you
right?
mean?
what?
Like, as in, like, there was no, like, I don't know, like, think, like, all right. I'm sorry to cut in on Eli, but just Eli, don't you think, like, if you remember the first episode,
Hmm.
the super cool factor, like, there was so many cool factors in that
Yeah.
first episode, like Mando walking into the bar, not saying a single word, and then just like goes into attack. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's an entrance. We didn't get like the entrance, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like there was like moments that could have been like more, you know, just wow.
I think I like that beginning though because we got the hero Mando by the end of season 1 and they reestablished in this beginning like no, he's kind of ruthless. He can be a bad dude. Like he can be spiteful and evil and murderous and
Sure.
like he's a good guy, but like don't forget this guy's a bounty hunter like with maybe a heart of gold. Kind of like the character that Timmy Oliphant plays in like everything he's in. He's like always the chaotic good guy, right? So that's kind of why I thought that moment was good. But what about the rest of you
Well,
guys? What other thoughts did you
Well, no,
have
I
on the
still, I
episode
still, I still
overall?
wanted, I still wanted to hear from Eli, like what he like as far as comparing it to like that moment, like if he
Hmm.
felt there was any moments like that in this episode,
Hmm.
I
like
mean,
cool moments.
Any cool
I
factor
don't
moments? Yeah.
I don't know if anybody. I'm pretty sure somebody else realized this. I guess, but it,
Hmm.
it kind of felt like Mando. He would. There wasn't really any. There was cool factor, obviously, but it wasn't as much as before. His personality seemed not dull, but there were points where you could. It was just like he was. I really just felt like he was just speaking and not really. There wasn't really personality, I guess, or any of that
Hmm.
coolness that he had in the first episode with how he could be like just being a bounty hunter. I
What did our
don't
guest say? Our guest not for the podcast. They said that some of the episode early on seemed like Mass Effect exposition. I don't know. Did you guys
Someone
kind of
said that,
feel the
yeah, like
same way?
someone in like the group chat said that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One
yeah,
of our crew said that while we were watching the episode in the group
yeah.
chat. Did you guys feel
My brother-in-law
the
did
same
that.
way? Yeah. Do you guys feel sort of the same way as that? Is that kind of what the issue was, I guess, maybe early on and maybe why it didn't hit as hard as the season 1 premiere?
It, to me, and I know this is probably going to be controversial with you guys, but it kind of
Hmm.
felt like we were starting with a filler episode.
yeah.
Hmm.
It didn't, like, especially the way that season 1 ended with it was so explosive, and we had the big reveal of Moff Gideon and stuff like that, and then we jump into this episode, and it's almost like, and I understand that there is going to be deeper tie-ins throughout the season with this, but we got none of any of the impact of what happened in the first one. It was almost as if this was a brand new episode, a brand new series, and we're starting off with Mando looking for armor, looking for other Mandalorians to help him. Not even, and
Hmm.
I get the fact that they don't know that Moff Gideon is dead and stuff like that, but it felt like one of those episodes that we had issues with in the middle of season 1, where it's
Yeah.
like, there isn't there isn't anything in the show that provides stakes for the rest of the season. Now, I could be wrong because obviously this is the very beginning of the season and we don't know what's going to happen going forward. But it just felt like there wasn't enough of a direct tie-in to the first season, and it kind of,
Mhm,
and it was a great episode. Don't get me wrong.
mhm,
If you want to say it's a filler episode, I'm not saying that in a negative way,
uh-huh.
but it was a good episode. But I just didn't feel that there wasn't enough tie back,
A great episode
and
with
So
flaws, maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
so here's the thing. So
Mhm.
well,
Yeah.
the so I guess like I don't necessarily want to call it a filler episode, but I felt
right.
like it felt
And
like
that's
we
why I
had
said it's
like
going to be
yeah.
controversial the way I say it
I
because you
To me,
know
it is.
No, so like I don't think that there's controversy. See, my thing is like it's not like I think that like yes, it could be a filler episode, but I think that would be a better accurate description is that it kind of has an issue that the last season of Game of Thrones had where like some episodes were out of place or out of order. I felt like this would have been a great
yeah,
third episode.
exactly. That I think that's where
You know
I'm
what I
coming
mean?
from. I don't think as a
Yeah.
season premiere this kind of fit with what we know of the series. It kind of
Yeah.
felt a little underwhelming just because of the fact that it's the season premiere. And
Yeah. I mean,
maybe that's a better way for me to describe it. Maybe the use of filler is probably the wrong word to use,
Okay.
but it felt underwhelming. Like I was excited, super excited to see the Mandalorian season 2,
Uh-huh.
and then when I saw it, I was like, okay, okay,
yeah,
not bad.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. No pop. There was no like,
exactly.
you
I
know,
watched it
and
2.5 times already, so I maybe that's coloring my opinion of it a little bit more because there were details that I noticed that I thought were interesting, but
There was a
yeah, but like
lot of Easter
but the
eggs. I
you know,
will I will give it that. You know.
but see,
yeah.
here's the thing: like details are obviously important, but that's not what the episode should be about. Like it's what makes Star Wars beautiful and wonderful.
Okay.
You know, I was recently asked like why is that people love Star Wars so much? I'm like, it's because of all the little details and callbacks to every
Mhm.
single other Star Wars property and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And
There were a
but
lot.
the thing is that for a premiere,
Mhm.
when you're premiering a second season, you have to answer in your first episode, or at least part of your first episode, should be answering the questions that you have during the gap. Like, okay, so what's Mando been doing? What is he
Mhm.
up to and stuff like this, right? You know what I mean? Like, so if his whole thing is like where is looking for more Mandalorians, then show me him struggling to find more Mandalorians or getting more information and stuff like that. Show me him, you know, in the desert, like looking and asking and going to different places until he finally gets um gets to John Leguizamo's character, gets the
Mm,
information that he needs, and then he travels to Tatooine, and then that's episode two.
right. I was gonna say maybe we have like some moments early in the episode where he finds out that John Leguizamo's character Gor Koresh has
Yeah,
that information. Maybe there's a fight or a struggle or anything like or something like that for him to get that information, and then maybe like you said later in the episode we have his meeting with Gor Koresh, or maybe in episode 2. But I want to ask if anybody wants to give a little bit of an opinion on this, and I know this gets into some territory where we're rewriting the episode. But is there anything specific besides what we've mentioned that you guys wanted to see from the premiere that we didn't get? And I will say for me, um, I did want a little bit of a hint of what happened to what Moff Gideon has been up to as well. I will
Hmm.
say that that's something that I would like to see. Not like necessarily a whole bunch of scenes, but maybe just something maybe near the end of the episode where we show where he is, who he's trying to talk to in order to find Mando and all that. And that's for me, I guess. Is there anything particular that you guys wanted to see very quickly in this episode, maybe that you didn't get to see?
Well, I think there's one thing that I the episode did that I wish that they didn't, and I'm gonna kind of echo what Wolfie said, and that deals with Cobb Vance's character and the
Hmm.
very ending. And the very ending. And we'll talk about the very ending later. But Cobb
Hmm.
Vance's character, in his whole reason, I guess, for existing in the Star Wars universe is kind of to give give Boba Fett, and his armor a place to exist, right? And
Yeah.
so I wish that he had kept the armor just a little bit longer
yeah,
because then that way you get that character, and I think the way Timothy Oliphant played that character was great. Now
He was
it
just
looked
Perfect,
weird.
actually.
Yeah, it looked weird with the armor on him. You know what I'm saying?
I
Because
thought that was the point, though.
he's
I thought that
rather
was the point.
skinny. Yeah, he's rather skinny, so it looked like he was really cosplaying and whatnot.
Yeah.
If anything, but I get it because you know what? He's just taking on. It's not his armor, so it's
Yeah.
obviously not fitted toward him,
It doesn't
towards him and
belong to
stuff.
him. It doesn't
Right?
fit him. I think that was a point, and maybe it did
Yeah.
look a little silly, though. I agree with you,
No,
though.
it did. But you know what? It makes sense in the context of what they're trying to do. But I would have liked him to keep it a little bit longer, and maybe
Uh-huh.
you know what? I just it seemed that
Excuse me.
we got his resolution with the armor done in like 30 minutes, and
Yeah, that's what I'm
that's it.
I
saying.
mean,
So
You
they
know?
could have. It's a missed opportunity. It's a
Yeah,
missed
Okay.
it really
opportunity.
is. You
this
know?
is
Okay.
this is
All right.
this is
Let's let's talk about some specific details of the episode. Maybe let's talk about the action, because for me, okay, as many, and I acknowledge the episode certainly had some flaws. I thought it was a great episode overall, but I thought the action was fantastic in this episode. Me personally, I thought the action with the crate dragon, I thought the action that opened the episode, like I said, the callback thematically to season 1, episode 1, where he has a conflict in a bar or a cantina or like some seedy place. I thought that was a cool action scene. I will say that I think it's hilarious, and I mentioned this during the group watch. It's really hilarious that people keep trying to punch Mando in the helmet with bare hands and don't use weapons. So I think that's kind of silly. But I think the action was pretty good in this episode, and I thought it was one of the strong points. What did you guys think about the action in this episode?
Eli, AJ.
Somebody
um,
jump in there. Tell us what you thought.
there was action, but to
There
me,
was.
at least, it felt like there was a little bit of a lack of it. At least to me. And I
You
know
know,
that you're supposed to start as slow for the first episode, but
Mhm.
if you want to introduce action, you should at least give a decent amount. And I felt that maybe it wasn't
Mhm.
really living up to the amount that I expected, but it was really, really close to it, I guess.
This
Yeah.
was longer than many episodes as well. I don't know if
yeah, I
you
mean, it
guys
was
An
an
know
hour
that.
hour.
long, right?
Yeah, this was. I think this
Yeah.
is the longest episode so far, if I'm not mistaken.
Which kind of
I,
makes it worse because you did have time to throw in some extra scenes in there, and
Mhm.
instead you chose to kind of like, you know, drag out some of these options here. But again, if you do this in the middle of the season, I guess you can get away with it. But because it's a season premiere, it's one of those things where it's like, why did you choose to do it this way? I guess
I guess
Okay.
something that they could have done just since they had a lot more time is, yeah, I know you said this, but I'm just gonna restate it. Um, they could have built on.
We could actually seen a duel between him and Cobb
Yes,
Vanth.
that's what I
You know what I'm
wanted,
saying?
because
yes.
it just feels like,
You could have had that in there and then have the crate
yeah,
dragon
and
actually interrupt it. That would have made a lot of sense.
yeah, and
I
You
guess they
know?
would have
if
probably bounced some blaster bolts off of each other since they were both
yeah,
wearing
I
pretty
mean,
durable armor,
look,
right?
and I
look,
I
Could
Yeah.
have.
this is one problem that I have a lot with the other shows. I think Andre knows which show I mean, but they bring in like characters, but they just seem hollow, I guess. It's like
Ooh.
they're just there to just to be there and just
Who?
to push the story, but not necessarily there to be a character.
Eli, let me ask very quickly: is there any character you think was really like guilty of that? Is there any character you thought like, why is this character even in here now or at all,
Well,
specifically in the episode?
that's mainly the dude who
Cobb Vanth.
Cod Van.
Cobb
That's
Vanth.
Cobb
mainly
Vanth.
just
I was
him.
gonna agree
That's
with you.
just
I
him.
was gonna
Mm-hmm.
say the same thing. I was like, Cobb Vanth is kind of hollow, and that's the missed opportunity because it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
It totally could have been Cobb Vanth. Like Mando goes and he's like, I need that armor, and Cobb Vanth's whole motivation, which he even states, is like, I have this armor to protect the town, and
Mhm.
no one's gonna take this away from me, and
Okay.
that would have been the conflict.
I would
Okay.
almost would have liked to have seen just an episode just
Of them two.
focusing no, and even just focusing on Cobb Vanth. You know what I'm saying? Where we get,
He
or at least half of of an
man,
episode. You know what I'm saying?
with
And
man,
less
then
Mando.
that's
I'm gonna
when
tell you
Mando
how it should
comes
have been
in.
run. I'm gonna
Okay.
tell you how it should have been run. It
Okay.
should have been the first episode is almost how basically how this one started. He meets Cobb Vanth. He says, "I need the armor." Cobb Vanth says, "No way, Jose. I'm keeping this armor because I need to protect the town."
Strong
They
brothers.
fight, and then they get interrupted by the sand serpent giant snake dude thing,
The great
and
dragon, right?
that's kind of like when they kind of retreat and the episode ends. The second episode is where they start bonding. You get the backstory and all the flashbacks with Cobb Vanth.
That
They
would work.
start bonding and realizing that they can work together. Then the third episode is where you do all this stuff, and now the show has been marinating. And then when we get that big reveal at the end, it just like it just a bigger pop.
That's the other
That's how it
thing
should have
that
been done.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. That big reveal, they should have held it back. That should not have
Mhm.
been in the first episode. And
Not
again,
at all.
we don't know the pacing of what this season is going to be like.
Right.
This is going to be something that we'll probably discuss when, the season is finished, but I think that you could have made a case where that big reveal at the end could have been held back a couple of episodes just to make it more impactful, you know.
I I will say, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, excuse me. We are going to have at some point another big reveal this season that we already know about. So I think at least for me, it's okay to give
Don't
some big
mention it.
reveals early on. I'm not going to mention it. I promise you, I won't mention it. But there is something big coming out later on this season. In fact, there might be a couple of big moments
Yeah,
for
there's
those
a couple
fans
of them.
of the cartoons, right? So
Absolutely.
I think that when you have that many big moments that are going to come up, and then you have still the storyline from last season, right? Then it's okay for this big reveal to kind of occur. But I'm not going to say that you guys are totally wrong. It could have been something that was stretched out into 2 or 3 episodes as well. I do want to wait and see until we see episode 2 and 3 though, to see what they do with this, to really give my judgment on it, because I saw season 1 as kind of very much a single movie. And I know we did have our kind of thoughts about how like there were 3 separate movies throughout the season as well, but I saw it as one single narrative, which of course it is. It's a TV show and it's a series, but I think that I'm okay with being a little more patient and seeing how this goes on, right? So
No
let's
doubt.
see. Um, what did you guys think about the acting, the dialogue, some of the characters that were introduced, and some of the humor in this episode? Was there anything that you really enjoyed about that um, in this episode as well?
Yes,
Or
I did. You want to
Mhm.
know what it was?
What's
So
that?
when we were talking about this yesterday, Wolfie was talking to me about how I needed to like respect how serious and awesome that a certain character should be. But after
Ah,
I saw the latest callback to one of his biggest Fs in Return of the Jedi, I don't
Oh
know.
god.
How can I do that?
That was a great callback. That really was. That is something that if that's a flaw in the armor that really needs to be fixed.
yeah.
It really, really
I
does.
really enjoyed that the humor when Cobb Vanth gave him Boba Fett's armor and he was like, "You tell your people that I didn't break that," in reference to the jetpack into the
Yep.
Rising Phoenix, right? That's what they call the Mandalorians call it.
Yeah.
I thought that some of that was some pretty great humor in the episode. And although I think that you guys felt that Cobb Vanth maybe should have been revealed in a later episode, I love Timothy Oliphant. I think we all kind of love Timothy Oliphant and whatever roles he's been in. So I think that in spite of the fact that maybe we could have moved him to another episode, I still loved his acting. I thought he was great. Again, he's basically the same character that he is in Justified or
I mean,
Deadwood or whatever else. But I thought
I,
he was good in it.
I
What's
don't
up?
think any of us are saying that he should have been moved to a later episode. We just
No.
feel like it should
We're
have been
stretching it,
drawn
right?
out more.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Yeah.
great that he was revealed now. I just hate the fact that his whole storyline is pretty much done.
I want to see more of his character,
Mhm.
not
Yeah, I want to
less.
see more. Like
know?
I would have loved to have seen him like basically like another Cara Dune where like, okay, this person's gonna be, part of this show or this season, like a little
Mhm.
bit more of like the Mando crew, so to speak.
Okay. Okay. I think we're certainly going to see more, but again, that's just my opinion right now, and we'll
Yeah.
see how this season certainly plays out over time for sure. Are there any other thoughts that you guys had maybe on like some of the characters that were introduced, or any of the dialogue or any of the humor? I did think also that John Leguizamo did a fantastic job even in the short time that he was in the episode. I like these
Yeah.
cameos that they come up with.
And we got skinny Gamorrean guards.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
I mean,
actually,
We got fit mixed martial art Gamorrean guards. You know what I'm saying? Not the fat slobs that inhabit Jabba's
oh,
palace. You know?
I mean, there are a lot
that
more
was
opportunities to like slack off there. Who's walking up to Jabba's palace exactly?
Yeah, but you're still playing like a bodyguard type of thing. You're a guard. Have
Um,
respect for the
ah,
have respect for the profession, please. You know?
I thought the Gamorrean guards were bigger and tougher than that too, myself. But I will say actually one of my favorite early moments was when that Gamorrean guard like jumps out of the ring to try to do like a body
Yeah.
splash on Mando when they're all attacking him at the beginning of the episode, and he kind of just he just gets out of the way, and that guy just knocks himself
It
out,
was
and that
very
stuff is over.
very WWE. You know?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was
So,
thinking in that moment. And I thought it was a really, really funny moment early in the episode. Although I
yeah,
do
I did
agree it
like
was
that.
weird how
Mhm.
thin the Gamorrean guards were. I always thought they'd be like these more heavy set characters.
Yeah,
But
or at least
that's just
more
me.
buff. You know what I'm saying?
what about you guys, Walt boys? Like, what was your favorite moments, or one of your favorite moments?
Yes.
Well, for me, I enjoyed the fight with the crate dragon, and I did like how they found a way to get some legends lore in there, because the way that he killed the crate dragon is
Yes.
very similar to the way that Boba Fett kills and gets out of the Sarlacc. You
In
know,
the Legends canon, right?
yeah, in the
Mm-hmm.
Legends canon, he uses the jetpack to blow up, to give him some release from the Sarlacc, and then he uses concussion grenades to get out. And Mando kind of does a similar thing where he uses the bantha, right?
Yeah, the bantha
Yes.
That's
with all the
that's
As
loaded
bait.
with
yeah.
all those explosives and stuff. Actually gets eaten by the crate dragon, and then blows the thing up, and then gets out of the crate dragon using the electricity, the shock mechanism that he has.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I thought
That's
that
how it
was a
was in
really,
Knights of the Old Republic as well. That's the mission
yeah,
in Knights of the Republic. You kill a Great Dragon in very much the same way.
yeah. So I thought that was a very nice callback. But again, I expect this from these guys because these guys are such nerds of Star Wars, you
Hmm.
know, and so that. But I thought that whole crate dragon thing was kind of like a fun little romp, in terms of the action of the episode. I enjoyed the fact that the guy the Tusken Raider brings out the bantha to kind of bait the thing, and then
Yeah.
he's the guy that gets eaten, and the bantha's just kind of like hanging out and stuff. So there was a lot of interesting things that they did with
Yeah,
that piece right there.
that was really hilarious. Who else? What about favorite moments from Eli, AJ, Wolfie? What did you guys think about the
Oh,
episode?
wait. This is where I have to jump in.
Okay.
I have to jump in here because my favorite moment.
Hmm.
I think everybody knows what my favorite moment is,
The very
but
beginning.
it's when we get the silhouette of the man, the myth, the legend at the very end,
I'm
and
sorry.
we turn around and who do we see, AJ? Who do we see, AJ?
Are we revealing
Listen,
this? Is this spoiler
Yes,
time?
we're revealing this. This is that
So
spoiler, that little bit that we've been salivating and savoring until now. AJ,
I
who turns around and comes into frame, as the show ends?
Well, a lot of us are actually led to believe
Captain
that
Rex.
it's Captain Rex. Yeah.
Yeah, Captain
It's
Rex.
not, and we know it's not.
Listen, I didn't see that
We're
Speak
particular
the
part of
truth.
the
Speak the
episode.
truth.
We're
Speak
almost
the
certain
truth.
it's not.
Hey Wolfie, I didn't
Speak
see
the
that
truth.
particular part of the episode because all of a sudden
What?
my stomach was feeling weird, and I had to go to the bathroom. So
All right, guys.
that's
So
why.
everybody that's listening, everyone that's listening, Boba Fett makes the appearance. Tamura
You
Morrison
sure it's Boba
turns
Fett?
around. Yes, we are, because he's scarred up all over his face. He
Are
has
you
no
sure it's
eyebrows
not a
from the
clone?
acid. Yes, it's
Are you sure it's
Boba
not
Fett.
Captain Rex?
It's
Captain
Boba
Rex
Fett.
was scarred
Okay.
up too, to be
Who
fair.
knows?
Yeah, he was.
Excuse me.
Captain
What?
Rex was
Captain
all
Rex
messed up.
he was scarred up too, to be fair.
He was scarred up, but he still has eyebrows.
I would agree with Wolfie on this one, though. I
Come
think
on,
it's Boba
guys.
Fett.
Guys, it's
Yeah,
Boba
it's
Fett. Come
Jango
on.
Fett. I mean, no, it's Boba
It's
Fett.
not.
It's Boba Fett.
Django's dead,
and
man.
so everyone that wants to understand why all the hoopla with them is because this is literally the last time that they're going to be able to talk smack about Boba,
Sadly,
because
yeah.
he is
Boba's
alive.
there,
We'll
but
see,
he's still
though.
not a Mandalorian like you claim him to be.
Oh
So
my God, it's a creed. It's a creed. We discussed this already.
Did we not?
Oh my
Did we
god.
There's going to
really?
be a whole other episode for this
This is gonna be a
conversation
whole
again, I'm
season.
sure. Oh yeah,
This
it's
is
going to
gonna
be
be
a
a whole
season
season.
of
Okay.
But
conflict.
listen, to be quite honest, there is a case to be made just because of the kind of weapons that he had on. The weapon, especially the one, that big rifle that he has, it looks very much like Mando's weapon. It's got that the very end that's curved, that looks very much like Mando's gun. So, you can make a case that that is a Mandalorian weapon, or you can make a case that it's a Tusken Raider weapon. I don't know, but the
Yeah.
butt of that gun, the butt of that rifle, looks very, very much like Mando's gun.
If
So
anything, like it's possible that that's a Mandalorian rifle, but it's definitely
yeah,
a,
yeah, yeah,
a Tusken Raider staff that he seems to have on his back, and it looks
absolutely,
like
yeah,
he's wearing a Sand People outfit.
yep.
Right at the end of the episode, what did you guys catch that? Do you guys think that he was maybe possibly one of the Sand People that was actually fighting alongside Mando and Cobb Vanth during the episode? Because
I
I
don't
got
think that
that
he was
sense that
fighting
Nah,
alongside
yeah, I
him.
don't think about that
hmm
Yeah.
because
But
Why would he
he
be
would have
wearing
made
that
that.
outfit otherwise, though? I mean, why would
Well, I
they
mean,
highlight that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's exactly the Sand People's outfit. It's just I think it's like a desert outfit. I mean, what's forgot you know, oh my god, what's his name? Jesus Christ, Luke Skywalker's like uncle. I forgot what his uncle's name is,
Owen,
Oh, that
but
guy,
Uncle
yeah, you
Owen.
know what I mean. Like
Ben.
his garb kind of looks like it. You throw a
Oh yeah.
rifle over his shoulder, and all of a sudden it looks like Boba Fett.
The only thing that
Yeah,
I would say is that, and it's we will have our theories about this, and we'll see. But it doesn't look like the cape that a lot of characters wear, or the robe that a lot of characters wear, because it has that sort of frayed fabric that the Sand People only really have. Like if you look at the hood, the fabric is all trashed and messed up. You usually have slightly better fabric on the other ones. They have better fashionistas, I guess, for the rest of the Star Wars characters. Sand People don't have the best fashion designers.
Captain Rex would wear
But you guys
something
could
like
be
that.
right for sure. It's possible that it's not at all a Sand People outfit, but
It's
I get the
100%
sense at
Boba.
least. I get the I get the sense at least that there's maybe he embedded himself with the Sand People or allied himself with the Sand People in the same way that Mando did. We will certainly see later on if that's the case or not.
Why did it
I
take Boba 5 years to find his armor?
maybe he didn't
Who says that
care.
he was looking for it?
Maybe
Remember
he didn't
that in
care.
the lore, Boba
Whoa,
Fett
wait a second.
in the
You
lore, hold on. In
uh-huh.
the lore, Boba Fett shed the armor because it was thought and believed that he had up to 3 full sets of armor. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So he
but
Why
doesn't
is he
need
knowing
wearing it?
armor.
knowing how
Hiding in plain sight.
these
What's wrong with you?
but
And nobody saw his
knowing how
face.
these Mandalorians are so in tune
Also,
and
Well,
together
wait.
with their armor, to have
Can
him
I make a
just
point on that
drop
too,
it
though?
off, it seems a little weird. 5 years,
Let's
dude.
remember. Let's
Not the
remember.
best. Not the best
It's
detective.
not. Well, it's not that they have to wear the armor at all times. It's just that nobody can see them. No other living being can see them outside of the armor.
that's
Nobody
true.
saw him.
Yeah,
Nobody
that's what
saw
it
him
is.
outside
They
of the
can't.
armor.
Because
Which
Mando
is
takes off his helmet too, but only in secret.
but
Yes,
which is
exactly.
a weird plot point, because in the Clone Wars, every single Mandalorian has their helmet
Yeah,
off, which is
yeah.
a very weird thing.
Yeah, and that goes to like the different factions, and they follow. It's just like religion, right? Like there's Christian religions, but how many different factions, right? And they
Yeah,
follow it a different way.
I
but the
feel like
So
Filoni and
Mandalorian,
Favreau
the
will
the
explain that
Mandal
at some point.
the
I feel
Mandalorians'
like.
religion is their weapons and their armor.
right,
I
but again,
I
just like
I
Jose said, that
find
doesn't
I
mean that he
find
can't
it.
take off the helmet.
No, I'm
Second
not
thing,
saying
real
that,
quick.
Neither
but
doesn't
but
have
he
other
won't
armor.
discard
So
he
that's
won't
like,
discard the armor because he was like, okay, well,
but
I got more armor. It's one of these things where it's like, that's my armor. I gotta get it.
yeah,
The same way that Mando, when he saw the armor, he was like, oh, you can't have that armor. You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't
Yeah,
Boba
but
Fett
Mando is
do the same thing? Oh wait,
Mando's still a noob.
and
He's still
but
a
I
green
forget,
around the gills.
I
He's not jaded to
but I
the
forget
religion yet.
Boba Fett is not really a Mandalorian. I'm sorry. You
Oh
know
my
what?
god,
I
dude!
understand. I
Hey,
understand
I
the
got
thing
the
already.
analogy, guys. I got the analogy. I
No,
think Boba
no,
Fett is like Jin Sakai. He left behind some aspects of the tradition in order to become even more powerful.
that
That's
doesn't not
my
make him a
theory.
samurai. That doesn't
Yeah,
not make him.
I
You
didn't
know what I
say that it
mean?
did. Remember, I
But
specifically
it
said
makes
he
him
leaves
not a
behind
Mandalorian.
aspects of it, right? He leaves behind some of the aspects of
He's a
Samurai honor.
Mandalorian. What's wrong with you?
So let me give you my favorite moment. I think, and it's actually like it's a moment, but it also ties into the rest of the episode. I really enjoyed the fight with the crate dragon at the end, but I thought, at least for me, a fun Easter egg that also ties into like the crate dragon and creating more of the lore. It maybe it's a little silly, but I thought it was really cool that the crate dragon basically made the same sound that Obi-Wan Kenobi made to scare off the Sand People in Star Wars, in the original Star Wars. That
Yep.
like crate dragon noise, they basically sampled it and they added to it a little bit. They like added some more tones to it to make it more of a huge monster sound. But I thought that was, to me, that was really cool. I just thought it was a really cool moment again, and we all love. I think we all agree that we love about Star Wars, but also about Favreau and Filoni dropping these beautiful Easter eggs in every episode so far, from
And
original
dude,
trilogy or for all of that. I think that that's a wonderful thing that they've been doing with these episodes for sure.
don't forget the pearl.
The Great
Do
Dragon
Mm-hmm.
not
Pearl.
forget the pearl. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember that was in Old Republic.
That's
That was
all. Yeah, that's all canon,
yeah,
right?
that
That's
was
from that mission,
all
I believe, that we
that
talked
was
about.
yeah, you had to get it because that's part kyber there. So you make lightsabers out of that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
So that
that
was a
I
huge thing,
love
also.
that again, them tying back Star Wars lore perfectly, you know what I'm saying? And in a way that's not obtrusive and it's not like, you're explaining it to the audience. The people who are nerds pick that up like this. The people
Yes.
that don't, they'll be like, okay, that's nice, and just move on. But it's not intrusive in that way. You know what I'm saying? Which is another thing that I love about how they do this. You know?
Yeah, and even like very very quickly, like I watched this with my girlfriend. She hasn't seen season one, just like one of the other people that was in our group. Um, your brother-in-law, his
Yep.
wife had not seen season one as well, but it's definitely there's definitely a weird, not weird, but there's definitely an interesting disconnect between people who love Star Wars and people who don't. And she still really enjoyed the episode, but it's also like there's moments where she's like, "What the heck is this part about? Why? Who is that guy? Like, who is that character?" And I have to take a moment to kind of explain it. But I think it was still in for the most part good for both fans and non-fans alike. And she's actually more interested in watching the show from here on out. So I
What
can't
about
wait to
Eli? I
to
want to
have
hear
that.
from Eli what his favorite moment was.
Yes, sir. Give us your favorite moment, please, Mr.
Well,
Eli.
actually, Walt already stated it, but it was the time where the Tuscan Raider brought out the bantha, and he was actually Ian himself. Because I just found that moment just something to chuckle to,
It's
and
a good moment.
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
But
it's a good comedic moment.
nothing other else in the episode really did catch my eye, which is that's eh, that just goes to show that it's not entirely the best episode, but I expect to see better episodes upcoming.
Yeah,
Yep.
Hopefully,
it was a good episode.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I thought it was a
But
good episode as well. What other
All right,
details did you
guys.
guys notice, or do we want to maybe do a quick review of the episode, or quick reviews? What do you
I'm
guys
score
think?
gonna
review.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
score
gonna
review.
we're gonna review this and give you the score real quick because we actually have to bounce. So, but AJ, what did you think of the episode overall?
I give
Hmm.
it a 9 out of 10.
Okay,
Wow. I
that's
think
high
because of the
praise.
kaiju serpent really
I
bumped it up for
also,
him.
you guys probably minded this a lot, but I'm a detailed. I like absorbing details and
Mm-hmm.
extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of the reason why I like the episode and why I didn't really mind that there wasn't a lot of action, but yeah, this is fine.
For
Same.
me,
Okay.
I
Hmm.
would have rated this higher if this was in the middle of the season. So, but if we're looking at this solely for the fact that it's the premiere of season two, I got to give it a 7 out of 10. I don't think that there was enough
Hmm.
to excite me. Now, I'm definitely going to be watching the rest of the season, right? That's a
Yeah.
given. But
Of course.
I think that they could have made a case where you could have come up with something a little bit more enticing for that premiere. for me, like I said, after I watched it, I was like, okay, it was a nice episode, but it wasn't like one of these things like Wolfie said, where season one, the first one, we're like, wow, I can't wait till they till Friday comes. It was just
Okay,
like, okay, it was fine.
man. Okay.
I mean, I don't really have to say this, but you guys already know how I
Oh
rate
Lord,
things.
what do you
But
think?
I'll
Is this
I'll
a
give it
corny
the
scale?
benefit, huh?
Okay,
The corny scale, it's not corny. I'll give it
not
that,
corny.
but I'll give it the benefit of
Okay.
the doubt and say
Hmm.
it's a 5 out of 10. It's okay.
That's the benefit
It's
of the
Five
okay.
out
doubt.
of 10.
That's a
It's okay.
benefit.
That's
Yeah,
terrible.
That's on the lower half of the scale.
Failing
Yo,
grade.
y'all young people be hating, bro.
I guess
Damn. I don't know about a 5.
5 out of 10. Okay. All
5.2.
right.
It was probably that corny because of
Of
I
the
can't
very
even put
the
it
very
together
end.
right, but corn on the cob.
On the comment. Oh god.
It's
That was
no,
quite corny.
no buffet.
Huh.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, I see what this episode did. This episode did
No
for
buffet.
Get Geek. It set the tone for the rest of the season, huh? Okay, I see
Not for
how
me,
these
bro.
reviews are going to work.
Like I said, I've been on your side since the beginning, and you know this. Okay, so like you could talk to AJ and Eli and Walt. They're the ones who are giving you crap all the time for Boba Fett.
Hey, I know. I see it.
Not me, man. Not me. All right, so
Um
can I get?
oh,
Let me give my review real quick, if I
sure.
may, and then Wolfie, you can give your review and also tell us about some things that we might be giving away pretty soon too, because that's some
Yeah.
exciting stuff as well. So for me, I'll give you a pretty quick recap. For me, I thought it was an 8 out of 10. I'm kind of in the middle of everyone else. I think for me, the reason that I enjoyed it is because I actually really enjoyed the filler episodes. I didn't have much of an issue with how they were kind of disconnected because I saw, to me, again, this is my opinion. I saw, and I know we all saw that they were going to be revisiting those characters. So I enjoyed it in that way. I thought the action was good. I will agree that maybe there are some things that they should have picked up from threads from season one, and maybe some threads that they could have extended on this one.
Low.
But I want to save that kind of judgment for, again, episode 2, episode 3, for later on or something like that. So I mean, yeah, for me, it's an 8 out of 10. What about you, Wolfie? What is your final opinion of this episode?
So, I think um I don't want to be in the sevens, but I feel like I kind of have to be.
Hmm.
Oh man, I really want to say 8 out of 10, but there's my barometer for success in the show is if I don't feel like I need to make any changes, and I feel like there's so many changes that I would have made.
Okay.
Not saying that I didn't like the episode, I did, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. And all aspects of the episode itself were good. But I would have not completed essentially the Cobb Vanth Boba armor arc in one
Hmm.
episode.
Okay.
Um, I would have had more of Baby Yoda. We had Baby Yoda in there. That's one thing that this episode was super lacking.
Yeah.
We were able to see Baby Yoda, but we didn't see him do anything. We didn't even see
Cute. That's it.
Mando. Yeah, we didn't even see Mando interacting or bonding with Baby Yoda. It's almost like Baby Yoda became like, for this episode at least, Baby Yoda became just a prop.
Yo, and
It's literally
why
what
did
he
he
became.
bring Baby Yoda to that battle with the Great Dragon? Like, I understand that he's not 100%
Especially when he
trusting of
has a
Kelly.
babysitter that he trusts.
Yeah, like, well, he doesn't. It sounds like he doesn't 100% trust her, because at the beginning of the episode, she does that little like, "Oh, like I'll buy him off you." Just kidding, not really. That might have given like
Yeah,
a
but
planting of
but that
like
doesn't
not
make sense because
100%
he
trust.
because he trusted her before he even knew her at all
Yeah, I
in the
mean,
last season.
it's
So
a little
that doesn't
iffy.
make sense.
I'll
That
agree,
doesn't pass a smell test.
but he should have definitely left the Baby
Yeah,
Yoda with
you
Pelly
know
the
what I mean.
child, whatever you want to call her.
There were
So
some
you,
really cool aspects
yeah,
in the show. I really like one thing that we didn't talk about
uh huh,
was the when when Mando and Cobb Vanth started fighting together in
hmm,
unison, that looked like such a really cool, coordinated, synchronized like Mandalorian attack. It's almost like
yeah,
Cobb Vanth knew the Mandalorian creed. He didn't use the armor the way that like someone that just found it used it. He used it as if he was trained in the Mandalorian arts, knowing how to use the Rising Phoenix and whole nine. So that's
I got
interesting
Iron
to
Man
me.
vibe, honestly, when he
Yeah.
used the missile, and that was a
Yeah, I
great
mean, to me,
callback.
that was like,
Well,
yeah, and then that's the other thing too, like, using the original Boba, the Boba armor, the way that it's supposed to be used with like
mhm.
the scanner antenna and everything to like
Yeah.
lock on for the
Yeah, that was
missile
awesome.
and everything. Like that's cool, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there was a lot of cool factors, but again, it was just too many things that I would have changed. And so I'd give it like a 7.5. I'm gonna
Yeah,
say
we all
7.5 out of 10.
okay,
You
okay.
know,
So we all
if
generally
there was,
enjoyed it,
yeah,
but
yeah, we all
it could
enjoyed
have
it.
been
That's the
better.
thing. I loved it. I think that if it was episode 3, it would have been a 10 out of 10. If it was episode 3, if I had Boba Fett build up, if I had Cobb Vanth build up, if I had a little bit more Baby Yoda, then this would have been a 10 out of 10 for me.
It was
You know?
definitely better than the Rise of Skywalker. We can say that at least.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
Okay,
course.
I understand your point though for sure. There were definitely some moments. I think I was a little more tolerant of it, but we're not that far off on our review, and it seems like we get about a
Yeah.
7.5 or a 7 overall if we bring all the crew's scores together, which definitely ain't
Yeah.
bad. And we definitely are recommending that people, Star Wars fans especially, continue to watch the show.
Oh,
And again,
absolutely.
even people who aren't fans, like my girlfriend, enjoyed it. So if you're a sci-fi fan, an action fan, a spaghetti western fan, it's still a show we would recommend, obviously. But yeah, so. All right, we did
Oh,
our
one more
reviews.
thing.
Go ahead.
So,
Mhm.
in light of and in honor of the first episode of
Yes.
Mandalorian season 2 premiering and this first review, we're going to be doing another pop giveaway. So,
Yeah.
please pay attention to our, Instagram feed and Facebook and everything this week.
At Get Geek
We
Podcast,
will
peoples.
be debuting the pop, the contest. Won't reveal
Mhm.
what it is just yet. Hint is probably a Mandalorian, something related to the Mandalorian.
It might
But
be
we will put out the contest details on Monday along with dropping this episode. So please
100%.
take a look at that. Be ready for it, and I hope that you guys are excited for the pop and excited for like the rest of the season the way that we are.
100%. Yeah, it's going to be a good giveaway. We've had some great giveaways so far. We want to thank everyone that supported the podcast, and we want to congratulate everyone that's won some of our awesome Funko Pop figurines in the past in our previous giveaways. So, yeah, definitely check out those details, as Wolfie said, this Monday on the at Get Geek Podcast Instagram as well. The details will be everywhere else on our Twitter and all of that as well. But Instagram is one of the main ways we communicate these giveaways, and usually the rules are based around Instagram and tagging and all of that stuff. But on that note, let's just mention that if you enjoyed the podcast, if you want to win some Funko Pop stuff, and just generally, if you like us as people, and we're all pretty cool, so I think you should do this for us. Like, rate, share, and subscribe to the podcast. That's the thing to do if you enjoy our podcasts, and you can find us where any of your favorite podcast platforms are sold: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Amazon Music. I don't think iTunes is a thing anymore, right? So I should probably stop saying that. But yes, please, please, please like, rate, share, and subscribe. There's nothing you can do that would support us as podcasters more than that. And again, we love y'all fans out there. We appreciate you, and we thank those of you that have liked, rate, shared, and subscribed to the podcast so far. And always, as we've mentioned before, we want to thank those of you that dealt with any sound issues or artifacts during this episode. We think we're getting better every week. We hope that all of you out there agree. But we're recording remotely, as we've mentioned, every week so far for the last few months. And we're doing our best. So again, thank you to those of our fans that have dealt with any sound issues and still listen to some of the great content that we put out there. Yeah.
One more thing, actually.
Yes, sir.
If I'm not mistaken, this is our 50th episode.
Is it? I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yes. This is our 50th episode.
So happy to us. Happy, congratulations, anniversary, or centennial anniversary. I don't know what to say. So, but yeah, like this is our. Yeah,
Well,
we're at the halfway point from like the big 100. So, thank you guys for listening, because without listeners, there would be no reason for us to get to 50, let alone any more episodes than what we're doing.
And we have so much fun on this podcast, but yeah, without you guys, like, we'd just be doing this in the living room or doing it over a phone conversation. But we record it because we got some great fans that actually really enjoy some of the stuff that we talk about somehow. So thank you very much to our fans out there. Congratulations to the crew on getting to our 50th episode. We're going to have a lot more great content for you coming out soon. Thanks for joining us for this week's recap of The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1. And as always, to all of our fans out there, all of our friends, and all of our geeks, please stay geeky, my friends.